tackling the topic of indigos. So you may have heard the term before, indigo child. There's a lot of information on the internet about indigos, indigo children. You can take quizzes, look at checklists, but there's really been a lot of kind of misinformation out there about who indigos are, what their purpose is. So I want to clear a lot of that up and share with you the 4 different types of indigos, because there's really a lot more to indigos than them just being these blue-eyed, fair-skinned, intuitive children. Most indigos now are actually adults, not children at this point, and most children are indigos, so it's not as uncommon as the internets may lead you to believe. So if you want to read up about this, I've shared 2 blog posts about indigos. The first one was a little bit about the history of it, why indigos are here, their purpose, and then the second blog post that I shared just this week was about the 4 different types of indigos, which I'm going to cover here as well. So first, what is an indigo? The simple definition of an indigo is any person that has indigo as the primary color in their energy field or their aura. So that's the simple definition. So Nancy Tappe is the woman who coined this term indigo. She was diagnosed with synesthesia. I might be pronouncing it wrong. But basically, there's different types of synesthesia, and the type she had was she sees colors around any kind of living thing. So she basically was born with the ability to see auras. And in the 1960s, she started to see an influx of children being born with indigo in their color field. And she saw this increase every year. And I give the statistics of like how many people she started to see with indigo in their color field each year. But basically, if you were born after 2012, you're probably an indigo, or you have indigo in your color field. And even before that, a lot of people basically from the 1960s on, more and more children being born have indigo in their color field. Even if you weren't born with indigo in your aura, because that is the overall shift that humanity is going through right now, you're probably starting to develop more indigo in your aura because that's the direction that we're going. So even if you don't identify as 100% indigo, it's still applicable to you because, like I said, as a human race, we're kind of shifting in this direction of there being more indigo in our energy fields. And if you have children, they're likely being born with a whole lot of indigo in their color field because that's just the direction we're going in. So Nancy Tappe, she coined this term in the 1960s. She's no longer with us, but she did see this trend, and the purpose that she found for indigos was to, they're here to help connect the human race. So indigos are all about communication, and the primary way that indigos are doing that are technology, which makes total sense. We're on our phones all the time, and I think that one of the things I loved about researching this topic was it really turned this idea of technology on its head. I think for a lot of us, we think, oh, we shouldn't be on our phones. Technology's, ruining our society, But if you look at it from this other perspective of connecting the human race and the power that it has to connect us as humans, it's really incredible. And that is the purpose of the indigo. The indigo is here. We're here to connect the human race. And the primary way that we're doing that is through technology. So it really kind of, for me anyways, it made me look at technology in a different way and maybe like a better, more positive way. Because I think for a lot of us, we see spirituality as one thing and technology is a totally separate thing, but there really can be some overlap between technology and spirituality because technology is enabling us to be connected more as a human race. So we're going to see more and more of that as more indigos grow up and get older and continue to use technology to connect the human race. So let's dive into the 4 different types of indigos. So like I said there in the blog, there are a lot of myths out there. So if you go online, you can see, oh, here, take a quiz to see if you're an indigo, and different body types for indigos. And A lot of things will say, indigos have blue eyes, they have fair skin, they're intuitive. Well, there are, Nancy Tappe, she identified 4 different kinds of indigos, and she says herself, the variety of indigos are extremely varied because they're all over the world. There are indigos everywhere. So to say that indigos have fair skin and blue eyes is just totally going against all of Nancy's work with indigos, because indigos are as varied as there are different types of people. There are just all different kinds of indigos, and they're all over the world. So the more important question to ask is not what are you an indigo? The question is, what kind of indigo are you? Because like I said, you are likely an indigo or have a decent amount of indigo in your color field. So the first type I want to talk about is the humanist. So humanist indigos, they are the social butterflies. They are very relatable. They have a lot of energy. They're the ones that are often pegged as overactive. So that's another thing you might see online, that all indigos have ADD and ADHD. Again, not accurate, because there are 4 different types of indigos and not all of them are really overactive. Some of them, the humanist type, they can be, because they're very social. They like to get out there. So think of your humanist indigos as your social media influencers, politicians, teachers, the people that are really putting themselves out there and communicating and bringing people together. So if you identify as a humanist indigo, some of the things that can kind of help you or balance you out are going to be to focus on your root chakra. So the chakra at the base of your spine, that's just going to help you get a little bit more grounded if you are feeling a little like all over the place. And then stones like jasper, hematite, grounding stones, they're really going to help you as a humanist indigo. And the humanist indigo, like I said, their purpose is to help connect humans primarily through communication and technology. So that is your purpose as a humanist indigo. And as I go through all of these 4 types, it is possible that you might find yourself kind of fitting into 2 categories. So you might be a little bit humanist, a little bit artist, and that's totally normal. Nancy Tappe did say, usually there's not 3 different types. She's never seen anybody that qualifies as like 3 different types of indigo, but there are a lot of people that identify as 2 different types of indigo. So it's possible that you'll find yourself kind of fitting into 2 categories. So the next one I want to discuss is the artist. This is the one that I identify with the most, and then a little bit of humanist for myself, but definitely the artist. So artists are the extremely sensitive, emotional, creatives. So those are the kind of key words for the artist indigo. And the purpose of the artist indigo is to kind of shift humanity into being okay with being expressive, okay with being emotional. Often artist indigos are empaths, so that just means that you feel other people's emotions a lot stronger. So if you identify as an artist indigo, your purpose is really to, like I said, make humanity, kind of shift humanity into feeling okay with being a little bit more expressive. So the days of holding in our emotions and not letting anything out are over, and we're here to shift that and make that a reality. So as an artist indigo, 2 stones that you may find really helpful are amethyst, because it's going to be protective but also very calming. So if you're like me, the artist indigo, and find yourself to be very emotional, very sensitive, amethyst is going to be very helpful, and also labradorite is going to be very helpful as well, because it's going to help shield you and get in tune with your creativity. And then from a chakra standpoint, one thing to kind of amplify your creativity as an artist indigo is going to be focusing on the sacral chakra. So that's the chakra right above your root chakra, kind of in between your belly button and pubic bone area, and that's where creativity lives. So that is the artist indigo. Moving on, we have the conceptualist. So the conceptualist is a little bit more introverted. They're kind of the indigo that's working behind the scenes. So think systems, infrastructure, inventors. They're the ones that are inventing and creating everything behind the scenes that is making communication possible. So we have our humanists that are out there talking and talking and talking to everybody. Then we have our conceptualists behind the scenes creating everything so that we are able to communicate on a broader scale. So that's the purpose of the conceptualist, is to create the tools that enable us as indigos to connect and communicate. So conceptualists might have a really hard time socializing. So one thing that can be beneficial for the conceptualist is to find people that they feel safe around to spend time with, because the conceptualists, they are the types that are going to get absorbed in a project and really tune everybody else out, tune everything else out, which is great because they're living up to their potential and finding ways to connect humanity. But to balance that out, it will be important and helpful for them to kind of find safe people that they can spend time with. So a good stone for the conceptualist is going to be citrine. It's a stone of joy. It's going to bring a little bit more levity to your life, a little bit of airiness. And then the chakra, the solar plexus chakra. So this can help in a few ways. So this is going to help you when you do really need to dig into a project as a conceptualist that you're working on. This is the chakra of willpower, so to help you stay focused. And that chakra is located right here in between your heart chakra and your sacral chakra. Okay, so the last indigo is the catalyst. So the catalyst is, for me, and I think for a lot of people, it's kind of the one that's the most mysterious and a little bit confusing for the 4 indigos. And this is the indigo type that Nancy Tappe, she said there are the fewest of the catalyst type. There's just not as many. She did identify that the conceptualist, the one I just discussed, that there are that's what we have the most of right now, are the conceptualist indigos. So the catalyst indigos, they're very detached. They're very withdrawn. These are the indigos that, more than any other indigo, really feel like they don't belong. And a lot of times they are very challenging for people. It's hard to get in to connect with them. So one of the reasons they're catalysts is because this personality type of them being really hard to connect with, it's forcing us, it's catalyzing change, it's forcing us to look at things in a different way and saying, these people aren't fitting in. How, what do we need to change about our society to get them, to make these people feel more comfortable? So that's one of the reasons why the catalysts have such a hard time fitting in and why they're called the catalysts. So Nancy Tappe, she kind of identified that a lot of catalysts that she saw were on the Asperger's syndrome. And it doesn't necessarily mean that if you are on the autism spectrum or if you have Asperger's that you are a catalyst indigo. It doesn't mean that if you're a catalyst indigo that you have autism. It's just a correlation that she noticed. So that might be something. And again, these labels that we put on people, maybe there's a deeper meaning to it. Maybe it's because they're trying to catalyze some sort of change in our society. So the catalyst indigo, they're going to benefit from black tourmaline, which is just a very, just threw it on the floor. Black tourmaline is a very protective stone. So if you identify as a catalyst and you do feel very withdrawn, something very protective like black tourmaline might make you feel a little bit better about being out in public, about being around other people, because like the conceptualist, the catalyst is going to really benefit from having safe people to spend time with, because as any indigo, communication, connection is important for you. So you want to make sure that you have people in your life that you can communicate with and connect with that feel safe to you. So the chakra for the catalyst to focus on is going to be the throat chakra right here. And that's because the catalyst does have a hard time communicating and connecting with people. So focusing on that throat chakra is going to kind of give you some of the tools and energy you need to help connect with people a little bit better. So those are the 4 types of indigos. I'm sure there might be one or maybe more than one that you feel connected with or that makes sense to you. So I hope that this has shed a little light on indigos and who they are and why they're here. If you want to learn more about them, you can read both of the blog posts on our blog at zendout.com/blog. That's where I share a little bit about the birth of indigos, Nancy, and why they're here, and then the 4 types of indigos. And then, of course, all the gemstones that I've shared, we sell them on our website, either in kits or sometimes in wearable form. And the card deck I've been using is the ritual deck. So you can learn more about the chakras there. So if you have questions, I would love to tackle them. I had a really great time researching this topic. I was a little bit